Welcome to the Flat Track Factory. We're getting ready for the last race of our 2020 season in this part of the country, and I'm turning the bike around from one track to the next. So I'm going to tell you in this video about some of the things that I change and why I change them. Stick around. If you've watched any of my videos before, you know that I like to tell a story. And part of this journey that I've created in this channel is to entertain you a little bit, also to educate you on how some of the older guys, I guess that's me now, think about racing and how we came to think of that. So one of the most enjoyable things to me about racing is the wonderful feeling that I have after a successful night. You know, from that time that you take a checkered flag at the front until about the next couple, I don't know, 2 hours, until that amazing sense of euphoria and satisfaction for a job well done. You can share that with your friends, and just that 2 hours is kind of irreplaceable and unreproducible, at least in my life. So that's kind of what drives me, and in the sort of overly analytical way that I think of things, I find that comes from thinking backwards. So if that's what I want, I have to go backwards to set that up. So this is kind of where this video comes from. Long story long, as is normally with me. There are many steps ahead of time that winning a race on Saturday night happens the previous Sunday or Monday. So I like to backload my Saturday night event, successful event hopefully, and see what it takes to cross the finish line in the front. And that takes being able to put together a dozen or so really good, fast, consistent laps. And how do you do that? Well, you've got to get your bike set up right, and you've got to be in a good enough shape to put those laps together consistently without getting tired and making mistakes. And that backs up to you've got to go on the track with a good setup, and that backs up to you've got to unload with a good setup, and that backs up to you've got to load with a good setup, and that backs up to how do you get the bike in the condition to go into the truck in good shape. So that typically takes, you know, about a week, assuming you've got all the parts on hand and, you know, your other job and things like that. So that's kind of where I'm going with this video, is crossing the finish line at the front of the pack and having a successful result. Winning races really, I say, starts on Monday night. And that's what we're doing here. So I'll show you that and talk about just a couple of more things. So before I get into the bike specifics for this particular race, we'll talk about something that I like to think of as cultivating calmness. I find that when I ride the bike calmly, and you've maybe heard me talk before about riding the bike with your fingertips, you know, being loose on the bike, breathing on each straightaway, make sure you're not holding your breath. This comes from a calm mindset. And I've got a goofy saying here for you that easy is fun, calm is fast, and fast is easy. So it's a circular sort of thing of success, at least for me, in that success comes from being calm on the bike. And being calm on the bike, again, starts, you know, days and days ahead of time. So in particular, what this video is about, to teach that, to illustrate that point, is I don't want to unload the motorcycle and then have to furiously change tires, change gearing, you know, find out that the tire I want's not on the wheel that I want, and I've got to switch all that stuff, and then I'm just emotionally scattered and not consciously focused on the next steps. I told you in that step of things that I want to cross the finish line at the front, and again, that starts for me way back ahead of time, and having the bike set up correctly at the track when I get there, so I can do all the other things that racing requires and have a good time. I want to have a good time, and that to me happens when things are in order. So that's where we're starting with that. So there's a lot of assumptions where we're starting from in this video, assuming the bike's not broken and you've got your fresh oil and filters and all that sort of stuff. We'll come off the track the last time and we'll clean the bike and get it in good kind of basic maintenance conditions. The next step would be to measure the track and get a sense of where your gearing is going to be. Or you can go to your data and see what you ran last time. So in this particular case, we've been there before about 4 or 5 times, so I have a pretty good idea of what's going on. So I have a notes section in my phone where I can take a look at the last time I was there. So if I go and look at the data here, at that place earlier this year, I ran 1541 third gear, and I was lightly touching a limiter that I had set at 8350. So for the bike that I run, that's pretty good. A little bit of room for a little more revs. My engine builder really likes me to stick right there, but we negotiate a little bit. So I'm going to stick with that. If I did not have this data, what I did the first time I went there was I went on Google Maps and I measured it. And I realized that there's some error in that, but I sort of error the same way. And I've done this now enough times that I'm pretty confident in the measurement that I get using Google Maps. The number that I have is relevant for me to compare it to another track, and I can get pretty close. And at a new track, pretty close is a lot better than just guessing. So I like data. I either measure the track or I go off of what I've done last time. So that's kind of the first step there. Next thing I'm going to do is check the weather. And what I'm looking for there is if something's vastly different than what I've been before. So this video is filmed in the fall of 2020. So in November, things can get pretty chilly in the south. However, this is way down by the beach, and the forecast is quite warm, 77 in the day and the dropping down at night. So I'm thinking about all these things, the time change, but they're moving the starts a little bit more towards the day. So all of this is factoring in, and I think that the tire wear is going to be maybe a little bit less than last time, which wasn't a whole lot. So in this case, I'm going to lean towards one of my softer tire setups, and I think that should be pretty good. Also, I look at temperature. When I get October, November, I'll typically go up a jet size as temperatures drop down. But again, with the temperatures being kind of abnormally warm, I'm going to leave, I think the jetting as we dynoed it was within 5 or 7 degrees, maybe 10 degrees of last time. So I think we're pretty close. So then I'll choose my particular tire. As it turns out, I'm going to run fresh tire. I love fresh tires, so that's exciting. And I'll change the gearing. The gearing is pretty close, so my wheelbase and chain length should be the same. So those are the things that I'm going to change on this motorcycle between the last race and this race, and that will give me the ability to unload at the track on Saturday and be in good shape where I don't have to thrash on the motorcycle and kind of harsh my mellow, and I can enjoy the race, talk to my friends, and get my head screwed on straight, and get all my personal equipment and sign up done. All the other things that can take time to get done. And if you have to do a lot of excessive work on your motorcycle that you weren't planning on, can throw your schedule off. And also, I think it's just it's tiring and less fun for me. So that's what I think. I always like hearing what you all think, and read all the comments that you make, and I appreciate you watching. So I'll just throw in some footage of messing with the bike a little bit if you want to watch, and maybe do a little bonus feature for some of you that are curious about knockoff wheels. Maybe I'll throw that in. What actually it takes to pull the knockoffs off and swap gearing. So enjoy that if you want to. If not, I'll catch you back here next time.